Welcome everybody to the Package Group Weekly Sync for March the 9th, 2020. I've upgraded this time to saying the correct date, which I seem to have got wrong a couple of times in sequence, so pretty proud of myself there. Kicking off, we've got a few things to get through today, so I'll try to move relatively quickly through my stuff. Our async retro, I've linked there for 12.9. So I'm going to try to link this in each of our weekly meetings so that I can remind myself to look at it as well. We have code review training. Might be worth reviewing from Dava in async retro. I've linked to it in the agenda here. And then the next item is we don't generally assign issues to ourselves until we start working on them. In some cases, there are some cases where we do assign those issues. So an example might be like Gigi was doing the investigation for PyPI. And so we assigned that early because we did want to have a particular person working on it. But in general, only assign them to yourself when you pick them up, and remember to give them a milestone as well. So yeah, this is what sort of means that if you end up taking longer on something because you find there's some issue within the thing we weren't aware of, or whatever it is, it's not sort of all like blocked out all the other work we have scheduled. Did you want to verbalize that, Nico, at all?
Yeah, I just said that, sorry, that sometimes I did this on stuff that I didn't properly start work on, but started just investigating or look around.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge deal. It's just, I don't want to get in the habit of filling our milestone because we do try to focus our milestones on things we're committing to working on. So if we pre-assign them, it means that it can be kind of weird for people who are like, okay, what's the next most important thing that someone else assigned? So the other scenario, I was chatting with Ian about this, and Ian was saying that his workflow is a little different. So Ian might pre-assign things, and that's okay, since he's the only one that would end up working on them. But I think for us, it could be other people on the team working on it. So that's why it's like, hey, let's not, because if you need to take some time off or whatever, right, you don't want that stuff pre-assigned and then have to go clean it up, for example. Any other questions or comments on that one? Over to you, Steve.
This was pretty widely distributed, but thought it was worth mentioning. There were some changes to the security developer workflow, mostly having to do with, where you link different MRs and issues, and the checklists themselves have also changed in the issue templates. But just a heads up if anyone has a security issue they're working on or are going to be starting. Back to Dan.
Thanks, Steve. Preliminary, I can't say preliminary apparently. Preliminary MR for measuring our progress to category maturity goals. I really appreciate people's feedback. I know some people had got into this already and gone and made some suggestions, which I really appreciate. Tim, do you want to verbalize your comment there?
Yeah, I thought the update made sense. It's in line with everything that we're doing. I just added a note in there about Ian's role in this as a product designer. He will be responsible for saying, okay, we have these maturity targets, we have the features there, what's our grade? And he'll actually evaluate whether or not we've achieved that maturity target or not based on user research. So I just added a note to clarify that, but other than that, it looked like what we want to start doing.
Cool, thank you for that. It ended up being, I was sort of thinking in my head it would end up being this huge page of like information, but when I actually wrote it down, I was like, oh, this is like a paragraph maybe and a couple of bullet points. It wasn't that big a deal, so I was overthinking it in my head. So thank you very much for that feedback. MR to merge package into a single team in the handbook. So we're an integrated team, and that MR has been merged. So if you look at our team page now, there's no more, it doesn't have Nick and Nico as stable counterparts with me as a stable counterpart to myself because we don't technically have a front-end engineering manager. I think I could be a stable counterpart to myself, constantly like, why would we do that? Anyway, so that's already been merged. Issue to discuss code review survey results. Since we had some, thanks Haley. since we had some pretty low numbers in the code review survey, I thought it was worthwhile discussing. That's in our private project. Again, you could argue it's not very GitLab-y to have a private project. I have that on the behalf of psychological safety that everyone says that they don't feel like they need, but I still like preemptively want to have somewhere where you can feel like we can discuss things. The intent is to have action items that come out of that are public once we've got to a point where we're pretty happy and everyone's had their opportunity to discuss it. Cool. So go take a look at that. Let me know if you have any feedback if you haven't already. 12.10 review and discussion issue is we do the asynchronous issue to sort of say what we're committing to in the next milestone, and 12.10 is up already. I know we're sort of, it feels like early days in 12.9, so I mean, there's not a huge rush to get in here, but certainly go check that out. Tim, do you want to verbalize?
Yeah, I think for Joam and Haley, I think you both are still working through the online garbage collection issue and defining the metadata table. I was wondering if there are issues that are going to be coming from that will open, and if we'll have those done like earlier this week, or if it'll be something that's done and we'll just pick it up once we start at the milestone.
Yeah, so the one that it's going on is the database schema. I would hope to have that done for 12.9, so I don't think that should be in 12.10, but we'll have some follow-up issues on that one that will fall in the 12.10 milestone, namely implementing the database in the registry. So we'll open an issue, at least for that one, and I'll ping you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. I'm okay with that. And the other question, can I ask another question then, just for planning wise?
It's fine.
Gigi, now that you're in this meeting, it's really helpful. We added the metadata to the package registry recently, where we could show pipeline and branch and commit. And I was wondering, are we able to do the same thing for the container registry? Because that would be a nice issue to pull into the milestone as well. But I didn't know if the API covered both use cases.
I'm not sure. Metadata for what exactly?
So I think you worked on this with Nick before. So pulling in the branch, the commit, and the pipeline data. Or
Yes.
if a package was built via CI, can we do the same thing if an image was built via CI?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that's possible, because when you push an image, you push it directly to the registry, and we don't have any we don't have control over that except for like authentication. So we don't have a way of telling that how this was built. That would need to be something done on the registry itself, I believe. I believe the registry would be able to tell, maybe, but possibly not.
Okay, that's helpful. I'll keep the conversation going in the issue. Thanks.
Over to you, David.
Thank you. I saw that there's a PostgreSQL training coming up. So if you're interested, you can check out the issue by the database team. And over to Nico.
Yeah, so as usually, I'm selling the proof of concept at every corner. So we have now a wait for the backend work that needs to start. That needs to be done before the front end can be done. So do we want to move on with this? If so, I could start working on the front end in parallel behind feature flag as usual. If not, I can stay parked for a bit more. Any question, any disagreement over the architecture and stuff, because this is kind of different from the usual.
So you're looking to schedule this in, say, 12.10 for the backend work, or hoping someone will pick it up now? Is that
I
what you're
mean,
thinking?
yeah, if I can proceed in parallel to the backend work, because I already act up some backend that I can use to consume the data, which is not proper, but it can be used for the development purpose. And my question is, it makes sense to start the front end of this or not, because the backend can take care of this now and it will wait another 2-3 milestones. This is the question.
It's a good question. I could potentially help with that, but I guess I'll be busy with some stuff for the this week and next milestone. Even though that's probably not a big thing to work on, so I might be able to squeeze it in if I have time, but I can't promise right now. But I have to take a look.
Yeah, we should add the package triage label on this as well, because it's this, unless it's scheduled, we definitely want to put that label in so people know that you're looking for assistance. And out of the team, Gigi is going to be focused, I don't want to speak for you, Gigi, but on the PyPI implementation.
I will.
So that and Composer community contribution. So, one of the other people on the team could pick this up without it being necessarily scheduled, but I don't know exactly what time David and Steve have available to do that right now.
An alternative could be that I take on the backend effort and I bother our backend dev here and there, if that's something that we want to do.
That works for me.
Yeah,
That's something I want to do,
Yeah. All right. So I think the discussion here is what I think is interesting about it is that we sort of have this dependency, and then whilst the front end effort is also not prioritized, it's hard to sort of put it in a milestone. We know this has come up a few times before. From my perspective, I look at this and say, if someone wants to help out, I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to tell David or Steve they have to go do this work. But I think if someone wants to help out, I think they could totally jump on that. But they're going to need to have a look through the issue and determine what work is involved. And then as far as scheduling the front end effort, determining whether this is a feature we want to put in sooner rather than later, I think putting it behind a feature flag, your plan sounds good to me. And then whether, Tim, I think it looked like you took your mic off before you were going to say something.
I was going to say, this is a really cool feature. I'm not sure if everybody saw it, but it really it transforms the container registry user interface. I think it makes it much more usable. So let me look at the milestone as well and see if I could fit in an issue, and maybe I have to swap something out, but I think this could be valuable to get into this milestone. So and then if we can't get it in, then it'll be the thing that if you have time, pick it up. But yeah, it'd be nice to fit this work in.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't even say that, did I? It is a really cool idea. Thank you, Nico.
Thanks.
Over to Joao.
Okay, so we've been having more feature requests for the container registry, and unfortunately, a good portion of those we have found them to be unfeasible, either because we don't have the required data to implement them, or because due to performance constraints we can't do it. A prime example of this was the distinction between Docker and Helm images. And with every feature that we have like this, we spend a good portion of time investigating and trying to come up with workarounds to implement those features, just to find out that they are not feasible. So that represents a good portion of time that we could be using for working on online garbage collection. So I think we should consider freezing the development of new features for the container registry until we have the metadata database and the online garbage collection implemented. Otherwise, we are just and we are losing too much time looking at other things. So I think it is worth to focus. I'll open an issue for discussion. I briefly discussed this with Ailey and Dan as well. But I think it is worth for us to have that conversation.
Joam, does that include some of the work we have planned in 12.10 for the expiration policies? I know we have the performance improvements and enabling that feature by default. Would that be included in that?
We should note that this is only for those beyond 12.10. So what's scheduled for 12.10, we should do it because it's already planned, and it's only a performance improvement on the GitLab side. So there is no need for registry changes for that. So that won't be affected. I think we should consider this for beyond 12.10. So anything beyond that should be freezed, unless it is a bug fix or something critical. But if it is a new feature, I think we should postpone them.
I'm all for that. I think one thing that would really help me is what we mentioned earlier in the call, is if we could fill out that epic with a set of issues with a plan, it gives me something easier to point to. It's like, we're working on this, and anything else that isn't this core set of issues is a distraction.
Yeah, I'll mention that on the issue as well. We should make this issue public and fundament why we want to freeze development of new issues, and whenever someone is curious about it, we can just give them the link for the issue.
Okay, that sounds great to me. I think getting online garbage, even just seeing the one issue in 12.9 is I'm already excited to see that, and I think so much conversation is happening right now around controlling costs for .com, and this is obviously a big piece of it. So I don't think we'll have any problem getting backing for that decision.
Okay. On to Gigi.
Oh, it's not even that worth mentioning. Just being silly, I just noticed Slack is showing the other person's time zone, but apparently it doesn't show always. I just thought it was like a new thing or something. But I guess it's not. It just shows when the other person is on sleep mode or something like that. Just thought it was pretty cool when I saw. Got overly excited.
Nice. I think being that you're now a little bit more proximate in time zone, Gigi, it's more than happy for you to be excited about such things. So. Does anyone want to verbalize the comment, Nico and Haley?
Yeah, so it was pretty scary while talking with you, Gigi, because I will be like 6 p.m. for me and 6 a.m. for you. So like no.
Please don't be scared. You can talk to me anytime. If I'm away from my computer or like doing unavailable, just won't reply, or like I'll reply the other day. So don't worry. Just message me if I'm, I'm pretty comfortable just like ignoring when I'm not working or whatever. So yeah, reach out. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, this is one of those little tiny features that, somebody probably implemented in 2 hours, and like, it's just cool. It helps. The end.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. With that, if no one has any other comments on stuff, and this one was pretty packed with things, so thanks everyone for doing that. I think the one thing I want to follow up on is the Nico's proof of concept backend work. Couple of questions there about separating it out into backend issue, a separate backend issue. If that's going to be helpful, maybe it makes sense to do that, Nico. Otherwise, with that said, I'm going to finish the recording, and people, if you would like, you can hang out. If you don't want to hang out, that's cool. You can use the rest of the time here to have a bit of a social chat. Having said that, thank you to everyone who's following along at home, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Whatever that looks like. See you, everybody.